Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Father Son Packers podcast, your source for Packers news, notes, and analysis. My name is Tommy. I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, my dad, Matt. And, well, that sucked. How are you doing?
Well, I got more to my life than football.
I don't.
So that's good.
I'm just going to have to wait like 9 months because the Bucks aren't any good. I'm going to tell you right now, the Milwaukee Bucks, we suck too. So it's like
they've been just straight up bad this year.
Doc Rivers is just the worst. So like I don't even have basketball to look forward to. I'm gonna just have to wait till September or I guess August for preseason. But yeah, so that sucks. But we are here because we have to be.
I've already done like 20 mock drafts.
I can't even look at football stuff right now at all. I don't even know how I was able to watch the Sunday games. I actually didn't watch the Jags Bills game because I was like, I'm not ready.
I watched zero of Sunday football.
I watched
zero.
the Eagles Niners game, and a little bit of Chargers Patriots, and then I was like, wait a minute, this game sucks.
The closest I got
terrible.
to any football on Sunday was checking the Eagles Niners score every once in a while to see if we were going to have to give the dog medicine because of the fireworks that was going when the Niners win. So we gave her medicine after the game ended. So it was getting a little late. And then instead of being like sedated, she goes bonkers. Oh. She has the
they mispackage her pills.
This has never happened.
Like
before.
these are uppers. Why did these get in here?
That happens every once in a while, apparently, but it's never happened to her before. Weird. And she's just bouncing off the walls like a crazy thing.
No, this was a mistake. But
anyway, I drove out. She and I went out in the car to get away to drive up the hill away from
such a baby,
the firework neighborhood. Yeah. And look at the sunset and eat a cheeseburger.
Did she get some cheeseburger?
She got some cheeseburger.
All right. Well, I needed a cheeseburger after this game. I went and got a lot of very heavy Mexican food and just ate my sorrows. And then I think I had like 4 beers because the Packers lost 31-27, which on its face might be like, it's not a great
close game.
Yeah, close game. It was a close game, but we were up by 18 points in the first half and then proceeded. I don't know about you. But definitely, coming into the second half, I was like, we can definitely lose this game. And boy, oh boy, did we lose this game.
I was like, oh, I wish we had missed that field goal before halftime.
I was thinking, I was like, I wish we just hadn't. I was like, what would have happened if we just didn't kick the field goal? Like, would we have had more momentum? I don't know. But either way, we lost. We played terribly. So we had an 18-point lead.
We played good
until we didn't
started to play until we played terribly.
Yeah, the whole second half was an absolute just masterclass in how to lose a game like that. I was like skeeting out on Blue Sky as the game was going. I was like, the Packers sure are making a lot of the mistakes that a team that would blow this lead would make. Like I'm watching missed kick, penalties at the start of drives, 3 and out, missed kick. Like, oh my God, can we get our shit together? This is going to be an explicit pod, by the way. Apologies. But like really quickly, I just wanted to touch on.
Maybe I should send Grandma a link for this one.
Yeah. But yes, and then an 11-point lead with 6:36 left in the game. I mean, defense. That's the other thing. So I was going to also say, with 2 pieces of news since last time we talked, I don't think we mentioned John Eric Sullivan was officially hired as the GM of the Dolphins. Since the last time we spoke, we had talked about him being interviewed. I don't think we talked about him getting hired. He'd previously been the VP of player personnel. So he's going to the Dolphins. I would guess taking like a third of the front office with him. So like that's going to be kind of something to keep an eye on because, I mean, you imagine guy getting hired is going to bring guys from his former place to, fill spots. And then
maybe a coach.
Yeah, we'll see. And then because Jeff Hafley now has interest from 5 teams reported: Titans, Cardinals, Falcons that we talked about last week, and the Raiders and Dolphins now on the list. Kind of makes sense with John Eric Sullivan going over there. My takeaway with that was like, I love how like everyone's talking about fire LaFleur, and we're gonna have the LaFleur conversation closer to the end. Check the timestamps if you would just want to jump ahead to that. But somehow Hafley just gets more head coaching interviews despite being very much a part of like the team that blew. Like the defense gave up 25 points in the fourth quarter. That's got to at least somewhat his fault. I get that he's working like with like out a couple of guys, but like also after Micah Parsons got hurt, the defense plummeted to like 30th in the league. Like that's really bad. And he's just getting more and more interviews.
You know what I think it is for Hafley in this? Everybody's like, they held him for a long time. Eventually, they just ran out of gas because the offense didn't do anything.
The offense put up 27 points.
I'm not saying that's right. I'm saying I think that's the narrative that people are telling themselves.
I mean, the defense again was good for 3 quarters. It really was. It was good for 3 quarters, but I just don't think you can be like, but then they ended up giving up 31 points. Like that's bad. That's not good. But I think Hafley did a fine job, but I'm just a little surprised that he's getting like totally off scot-free for this complete debacle. Let's talk a little bit about the injury report. Because I think, there's a couple pieces just from this game and going forward that are going to be important, in terms of the offseason, things to keep an eye on, kind of. The first is we got some news on Zach Tom, who did not end up playing in this game after they talked about, we think he's going to play. Like starting on play. It was like starting on Tuesday, they were like, we expect he's going to play. And then was it Friday? No, Thursday. It was like Thursday,
had a planned day off, but then I think it was Andy Herman I heard say this, like, they didn't say /rest. Yeah. But so he missed the game with what is apparently a partially torn patellar tendon. So I don't understand how he was ever going to play. Like is easier to recover from
than a full tear.
One thing I was reading about, like the completely torn patellar tendon, you don't want to wait too long for that surgery. Because the tendon kind of shrinks away, and so I guess it's like harder to stitch it back together. And so he tried to do this, the platelet-rich plasma treatment to get it to heal faster. So I was like, does this ever work? So I was looking up a little bit about it. So apparently what I was able to find is like, it works 50% of the time. 50% of the time it works every time.
I was going to say 50% of the time it works every time, yeah.
But it takes like a few weeks or months, and it also doesn't last, and you have to get more treatment. Like,
I mean, it's not a year. I imagine you'd still need to get it fixed at some point. It's just like, can you play on it?
So it seems like this was a bit of a Hail Mary to try to get him to play a few games before the offseason. So it wasn't really as much time as it often takes, and it wasn't going to, be a permanent fix.
Seems like a bad idea. Like, even not in hindsight. I feel like it's like, hey, this is your franchise tackle. Maybe don't have. I mean, obviously they probably went over the stuff with him, and they talked about the risks, and I guess they definitely probably weighed it. Like they have doctors on the staff, but like,
yeah, I was reading about it. It's like this is often referred to as a jumper's injury. Volleyball players and basketball players are most common to get it.
Well, I mean, there's other tackles.
So stop jumping.
What's it called? Ike Ekwonu for the Panthers had this during their playoff game on like the game right before. He tore his patellar tendon. I think that was a full tear though.
It is like 45% or something crazy.
It's a very serious injury. Players. I think it's less. I mean, having a partial tear is obviously less bad than a full tear, but that's just going to be, I think, something to keep an eye on for the offseason. He's going to get surgery. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Beyond
I heard something like 6 months or 9 months, depending on.
Yeah, we'll see. But it's going to be something to keep an eye on, and also something to keep an eye on because they're going to have to figure out a new offensive line next year, and so hopefully we can have him back at some point to like kind of work that offensive line. Because I mean, someone was talking about, I was like, Jordan Morgan's looked pretty good at right tackle. Is there a scenario where you move Tom over to left tackle?
I was hearing this too.
Yeah,
and I would like this. Maybe we should try it out.
And it is a realistic option. It's totally. I think that should be on the board. It's especially like depending on how Morgan looks at left tackle. But beyond that, other injuries. Cooper left the game with an ankle injury in the third quarter, and like we'll talk about the on-off with and without Cooper.
I haven't actually heard anything about that injury. There was, they spent some time, I guess it was yesterday, talking about the various injuries that were either happened to the game, but nothing about Cooper's. And I saw him like at the end of that play where it's kind of a mosh pit, which Keyshawn Nixon decides to jump on top of like he's at a rave.
I don't understand what he like. I remember I literally watched him do that in slow motion. I was like, he's going to get a penalty for that. And then I saw the flag come in. I was like, yep, there's 15. That's 15 yards. That is
15 yards.
And that's the thing. It literally doesn't matter what you like. There's no way to do that and not get penalized. Like there's no like, oh, like I was just trying to jump like to this. No, if you jump on the pile, it's 15 yards every time. It's been that way for like 3 years now. Like that's an auto 15 yards.
15-yard penalty.
Everyone should know that. I don't understand what he was
for the
thinking.
Other team.
Yeah, and there's no.
And it already happened.
It doesn't make any sense.
The Bears already did it to you.
Whatever, week 16, I think. Yeah, I think it was week 16. But yeah, no.
But I saw like in the pile there as happening, Cooper starting to hop away from the crowd. I was like, oh, what happened to him? But then I saw him kind of walking around walking to the tent. It's like, well, okay, it's not terrible.
I mean, yeah, he walked to the tent, but I mean, I think, we're going to wait and see. And if we hear, we'll tell you.
And during the game, it was called an ankle. That's all I was able to find.
I was going to say, I think for something like this, no news is probably good news. Because it's not like we're hearing like, oh, he's getting surgery today. Like that could be on the table if he had like broken an ankle. Like
it is true that we've heard about the other Packers, but when you talk about the Packers during the season, no news could be anything.
That's true. But usually no
news could be a partially torn patella tendon. But you think usually, it's just a sore back.
Yes, but usually the scoops on is going to miss substantial time. Like the Schefters, the Rappaports have that news. Like if it's like a major injury like that. Beyond that, so I guess we'll see. Hopefully, get better soon, Coop, and get better soon, Tom, as well. Beyond that, Jacob Monk was declared out with a biceps injury coming out of halftime. Might have happened on an extra point, unclear. That was his last snap of the game. So maybe he would have been the backup center because Sean Ryan left the game in the fourth quarter with a bone bruise in his knee. So no ligament damage there. Apparently, that's some good news. He's going to be a free agent. You'd hate to see him, go into free agency hurt. So that's a couple of line injuries there. Not ideal,
Yeah, as far as I was thinking when I first heard that, wait a minute, Monk is out coming out of halftime with a biceps injury. It's like I didn't even know he'd ever been in the game.
I had missed it when they said that. So I was like, when Lessina Smith came in at center, I was like, they're going with Lessina Smith. I was like, I got an alert on
my phone about Monk being out, declared out for the rest of the game. I'm like, when was he ever in? What did he do? Did he pick up the bench and hurt his arm? But the last snap I saw him in for was the second extra point.
Yeah. I guess anything else on those injury reports you want to talk about? We got some news from both Micah and from Tucker Kraft. Micah said he's targeting week 3, week 4. Obviously, it's so far in the future that we just don't know. And Tucker Kraft said he's targeting the start of the season. Obviously, so far in the future, there's no way of knowing. So, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's a little unclear. So he had the surgery. We're looking at 9 months out from now. Then you're into mid-October, and so then you are week 3 or 4. I heard differently. It's beginning of season, or then I also heard the same day, week 3 or 4.
Yeah, but we'll see.
Yes, but probably not beginning of the season because that would even 9 months would not necessarily get you there.
Yeah, so that's just kind of something to keep in mind. But Dad, let's move over to talking about this game. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to talk about the game, and then we're going to talk about Matt LaFleur for a big stretch and what we think the Packers should do, because that's kind of the main, I would say, point of contention amongst Packers fans right now. And I feel like both of us agree you could kind of see it either way, but we'll talk about that at the end. But if you want to skip ahead to that and talk about, hear us talk about that, I think that's going to be probably the majority of our discussion, because who the hell wants to talk about this game? So if you want to skip ahead to that, the timestamp will be in the description. But Dad, let's start off with talking about this game. I almost don't even want to ask, but what was your gut check reaction? Go ahead. What was your gut check reaction?
Yeah, I mean, I actually get to the point. I can't remember how many minutes were left there, and I got to the point in the last 5 minutes or so where I'm pacing behind the couch instead of sitting down anymore.
I was the whole game.
I'm like, wow, but not literally the word wow. We're really going to lose this game.
That was me. I was just stunned. I was like, we really lost. We really lost that game.
The whole time, I'm thinking along as it goes, we could lose this game, but I never really believed it would happen. It's we could lose the game. But then after the golden touchdown,
a moron, I thought we were in the clear. I was like,
I was so excited. It's his first touchdown of the year. It's looking good.
Like a moron, I thought we were in the clear. I thought we were safe, but obviously we found a way,
Yeah. So Godfather 3?
Who has seen Godfather 3? I have not seen it.
I've never seen it. Oh,
is that pull me back in? I was doing the life finds a way, losing this game, the Packers find a way.
More just when I think I'm out, they pull me back in.
Oh man, what a fucking stupid game. Let's talk about the big moments from the game. I mean, I have the first one. I think chronologically, we'll go chronologically. Mine was just pick any of Brandon McManus's missed kicks, and it's a huge moment in the game. So he missed not one, not two, but 3 kicks in this game. The first is a 55-yarder and a half, which just felt like it just completely just annihilated all the momentum that the team had. Like, and just completely just sucked the momentum out of it. I mean, just like you had all this momentum, you were leading the whole way. He even makes the kick the first time, right? That was the 55-yarder that he made the first time.
He made it the first time.
He made it the first time. I don't know about you. As soon as he made it the first time, I was like, oh, they called timeout. It's like, there's no way he's making that twice in a row. I'll tell you right now, there's no way he's making that twice in a row. So he missed that.
Yeah, it would have been better if he missed the first one just as practice.
He missed an extra point on Golden's touchdown, which, you know,
just when we thought we were getting momentum again.
Yeah, and then missed that was again. You got the momentum with the touchdown, and then he immediately missed the field goal or missed the extra point. It's like, okay. And then you drive down on our second to last drive, and he missed a field goal that would have turned it from 3 to 6. And so if you look back, if he just makes the extra point, the Packers have an under 50-yard field goal to tie the game at the end of regulation. If he makes one of
kicked by McManus, of course.
Yeah, that's don't worry about that part. If he makes either of the two field goals, it's a field goal to win at the end of regulation. And if he makes all of the kicks, we just win the game. It's over. The game is just done. But this kid cannot make a kick. And the thing is, I don't think, and like he talked about after the game, like he was really disappointed. Like he felt like it was an embarrassing performance, which like, yeah, it was, but like, you know, at least he feels bad about it. But I mean, I don't understand how you could be surprised when he's been bad all year. I guess was my other takeaway. Like color me shocked that, you know, he was really bad kicking the ball all year long, and then in the biggest spot he was bad kicking the ball, right? Like I how can we be surprised?
Yeah, would he make like 80% this year or something?
I don't know what it was from outside the red zone. It was really bad.
Yeah, he had like one of the worst records kicking overall.
I think it was like bottom 5 for sure. But yeah, it was really bad. So that was like the first big moment of the game was pick any one of those extra points or pick any of those kicks. What was yours?
So I put in a good one. I decided I need to I'm going to get a good one in there. Matthew Golden gets the first touchdown of his career. We already mentioned this.
Such a
fourth
good
quarter,
play too.
6:36 left. Packers only up 5. Chicago's just scored. Jordan throws to Golden to the right, coming out of the backfield with a couple of blockers who honestly don't get that much done as blockers.
Nope. He makes like 4 guys miss.
He avoids tackles and breaks tackles from like 5 different defenders to get in for a 23-yard touchdown.
It's another one of those. It's the Okoye.
Why wasn't he down here?
Why was that guy up there this whole time? It's the same thing with Sorrell, who actually Sorrell played a good amount in this game. He was the edge 4 in this. He was ahead of Cox. Yeah, it was why has he been up there this whole time? Why has he not been getting the ball? Why did Adam Stenavich say a week ago we weren't going to throw him the ball? Like he said a week ago we weren't going to throw him the ball. And that
really was a misdirection.
I guess I don't. That's giving us too much credit.
Hope.
But he had 5 targets, 4 catches for 84 yards and a touchdown. Like he was the second most productive receiver on the day. On the 4th most targets, and we'll talk about Dobbs had a fantastic game in this game also. Like
yes,
but not even just the box score, like because he had 11 targets.
That
fumble,
and then getting the touchdown.
I was going to say he had 11 targets for 8 catches for 124 yards and a touchdown, which like on its face is a fantastic day. But like you said, the fumble that Watson, hold on to the ball, man. God damn it.
And are you insane?
Yes. Just like lower your shoulder.
I'm just going to go try to do a somersault flipping through 3 people to get to the end zone. It's like, man, you could.
Well, it was reminiscent of the game against the Lions in 2024. Do you remember he had that big, he was running up the right sideline on the second Lions game?
He injures himself.
I don't remember. I don't think he got.
But he dives into the end zone, or
no,
does like the swan
I'm talking
dive?
about
Not that.
No. What I'm talking about is it was very reminiscent of the 2024 second Lions game where we complete the big pass on the right sideline, and then he jumps in the air and he gets it punched out the exact same way. Do you not remember that big fumble that he had in 2024 in the second Lions game that we ended up losing?
Yeah, maybe I blacked that out.
But it's the same thing where he jumps in the air, he's diving, he's putting the ball forward, and he gets it punched out. It's exactly the same. It's the exact same like hurdle, like jump, and like I'm like, and Dobbs falls on the ball. Dobbs like made up for all of the mistakes he had in that game against the Bears earlier this year with the muffed onside kick. When he recovered that fumble, I was like, I was like, that makes up for it, because that was like that had catastrophe. I mean, it didn't end up mattering because we lost anyways, but that had catastrophe written all over it, and he managed to fall on it.
Yeah, and he recovered that fumble, so he got the first down at the goal, and then he ends up scoring on fourth down.
Yes, yeah,
to convert on that chance as well.
Great play call as well. Got him wide open.
Yeah. Where did those go in the second half?
That's a very good question, which we'll talk about. But yeah, so that golden touchdown though, like, felt like it was the game, and then the defense just was terrible, just soiled themselves. It's like, if you have a 2-score lead with 6 minutes left, that's on the defense. I'm sorry, that is on the defense. I understand the offense stalled out in the third quarter, and they were terrible in the third quarter. They were. They let the Bears back in the game because the offense wasn't good. They lost the game because the defense absolutely soiled themselves. It was terrible. And for some reason, people only want to talk about the offense, but the defense had a 2-score lead with 6 minutes left, and couldn't get off the field on a 4th and 8 or a 3rd and 10. And I think you have the 4th and 8 first, or do I have the 3rd and 10 first? You have the 4th and 8 first, I think, because these are the last 2 big moments of the game.
Oh yeah. Fourth quarter, 4th and 8 is 5:37 left. Bears at their own 43.
You make the stop, the game is over. The game is over if you get the stop.
The game is over if you get the stop. McDuffie comes around on a very wide stunt, comes around like 4 blockers and puts some pressure on him. I was trying to look at the clock. Of course, this is just like 1 second at a time. Got no tenths or hundreds. So it's like, I think it's at least 3 seconds by the time he's getting pressure on him. And Williams goes left, manages to stay on his feet just long enough as there's a guy clipping his heels.
And there's a guy wide open down the field.
And heaves it down to Adunze, surrounded by multiple Packers.
Yeah.
With Nixon trailing behind him, going across the field.
Surrounded is strong. I feel like there was not really a guy.
They're all around him, but nobody's close.
Yes.
So it was not a difficult catch for him or completion, because
it was a nice throw.
Nixon, especially because he's like leaping in the air and going sideways. That's the thing about this throw. But the window to get it into was not a tight window. Because Nixon is trailing way behind.
It's 4th and
Valentine,
hand on the ball.
Yeah, Valentine's falling back, but way too late to get it on a play on the ball. And McKinney's coming over way too late to make a play on the ball. He makes the tackle, but he is, and I don't know, maybe he starts running as soon as how is every single member of the secondary not on that half of the field as soon as he starts to roll out? That's what I was going to say. As soon as you see him going left, he can only throw left.
He might try and throw it back over, but make it harder for him.
It'll be a lame duck. He won't be able to get anything on it if he tries to go back to the right field, because he's jumping in the air too. Andy
Herman pointed out also, do you think if that was Edgerrin Cooper and not McDuffie, it's a sack?
Yeah. He's a lot faster. Like
orders of magnitude faster.
Yeah.
But
also the other thing I wanted to say about this play is, like, just before this play, Chicago was
the 4th and 3
by
snap over the head. Call.
Yeah. The snap's going over Williams' head. He's going to be running back there and falling on it, and the game's over.
Yep. Funny how that works, huh? But it's also 4th and 8. Just get a stop. And then immediately afterwards, because that was with 4:55 left. Or no, that was with 5:37. And then right after that, with 4:55 left, Chicago has the ball 3rd and 10 at, like, I think in Green Bay, like almost near the red zone or in the red zone, I think. So pretty close. But it's 3rd and 10, and we just give up a 22-yard completion, and they get a touchdown a couple plays later. And at that point, we're up 11. So they're going to kick a field goal. Like, if you hold them to 4th and 10.
We wished.
They're going to kick a field goal, make it an 8-point game. And then even if they come down and get 8 the next time, it's a tie game when you get the ball back.
Oh,
and
if we hold them to the field goal.
That's what I'm saying. If it's 3rd and 10 and you hold them there, it's a 2-score game. So they will probably kick a field goal because they need, at that point, a field goal and a touchdown to tie. They're probably not going to, they're going to kick the 40-yard field goal, and then imagine it just plays out the same way and they score a touchdown the next time and get a 2-point conversion. It's a tie game. But instead, you give up a 22-yard completion on 3rd and 10. The defense was atrocious, and I don't understand why the defense is getting, I feel like the defense is getting a pass in this game somehow, because here's the thing: the offense, 1 bad quarter, the defense, 1 bad quarter, but it lost you the game. Like, you gave up 25 points in that quarter.
I also felt like I was at the time, and looking back, I was like, that play, like, once that play happened, the defense couldn't do anything. It's like guys are running open all over the field. Wide open. Like, the way they finished that drive, there was no resistance.
Yeah, I mean, they scored. So we get an 11-point lead with about 6 minutes left, right? With that touchdown. Here are their next 2 drives. 10 plays 76 yards in 2 minutes and 18 seconds. And then 6 plays 66 yards in 1 minute and 8 seconds. And no one is talking about how
time to get the ball back.
No one's talking about the defense. The defense was fucking awful. Terrible. The entire fourth quarter. And people are talking about defense is missing guys. The offense is missing their best offensive lineman and their best weapon. I'm just going to point that out. No one's talking about that. So the offense was not good. The offense was terrible for a whole quarter and a half. But
yes.
The defense literally shit their pants and could not stop a soul.
It's like once that 4th and 8 happened, the defense completely fell apart.
Yeah.
They'd only given up. They hadn't given up that much before that, and then it was like they couldn't stop anything. I do want to say, we're talking about...
They went 140 yards and 2 touchdowns and a 2-point conversion in 3 minutes.
How much faith did you have in the Packers ever stopping a 2-point conversion?
0.
Precisely that.
But you know why it got to 0? Actually, I'll say 1%. It went to 0 as soon as I saw Nick Neiman was lined up on Colston Loveland. Brilliant.
I didn't even see that.
Brilliant, amazing stuff.
I was barely watching. I was like, oh, this is a guarantee. This is 100% chance.
Why is Nick Neiman on the field? Did you also know?
That makes no sense at all.
On I think it was their final extra point. We only had 10 guys on the field.
We only had 10 guys. I saw that. I saw somebody report that.
Rich Bisaccia has to leave. He has to.
Excellence. He's the kind of excellence to come to expect.
Cannot maintain this.
But I didn't want to talk about, if we want to talk about more excellence in the special teams, one thing that really killed us, actually, back-to-back long punt returns. Yes. 37 and 22 yards.
Because it wasn't enough to just leave 7 points on the board. That was not enough. They also had to screw the defense over, too.
Because it set up the Bears at the Green Bay 35 and one of them when they're down 12 with 35 seconds left in the third. And then got it to their 34 with a 22-yard return, down 5. And so they ended up getting, because they had short fields, 10 points with only 4:36 of game time used. So they were able to just score very quickly on those short fields because the
special teams.
Special teams helped them out.
And people are like, well, they don't have Zane Anderson and Bo Melton to be the gunners. I'm like, you know what? I don't actually care. Coach someone else to do it. That's your job. Your job is to teach guys how to do things.
I'm watching that 37-yard return. It's there's 5 guys there, and they all go the same direction, and
I'm
nobody
watching
covers
guys
the left.
On a slip and slide, and I'm like, wait, it's not raining. Why are they all falling over? How is everyone
and nobody goes to the left where he runs up the sideline.
Terrible. It's terrible. It was awful. The special teams is just bamboozling.
It wasn't quite to the level of we don't know which side the ball was kicked to. But it was getting pretty close.
A little worried they were going to pull that off, that they were going to do that shit again. But anyway, let's start talking about big picture stuff for this game. Because that was all just us talking about the big plays of the game. What's the first thing you want to talk? I think we have 2 things each. You might have more. You might have gone a little overboard on this one because we're gonna have to talk about LaFleur for a while too because we got a lot of stuff to talk about. But I guess we'll be here a while.
I can skip one of them.
Which one do you want to talk about first?
So let's talk about the second half. Let's talk about that run game in the second half.
Oh,
Green
offense?
Bay. Yeah.
What the hell
per
happened?
rush. So let's talk about the half. So EPA per rush, first half. On the week, they're second best on the week in the first quarter with an EPA per rush of plus 0.45, and 7th in the second quarter at now they got down to minus 0.11, which is kind of common for
negative is normal for EPA per play. Yeah.
To be not the best. The best are usually positive, like the top 2 or 3. Then in the third quarter, it drops down to negative 0.49 for second worst in the week. And the fourth quarter drops even further to negative 0.54 for second worst again. Success rate, first quarter, best in the league, 75%. Second quarter, seventh best in the league, 41.7%. Third quarter, sixth best, 33.3%. Fourth quarter, 0.0%. Full Blutarsky.
Did you know?
So obviously last.
Mina Kimes put this out on Blue Sky. We had 1 carry over a single yard in the second half. 1. It's the same players. It's exactly the same players that played in the first half. I have no idea what the O-line was so catastrophically bad in the second half.
Yards before contact. Yeah, so let's talk about what the O-line was doing for the run game. Yards before contact. So we're talking about O-line here.
So bad.
4.07 yards before contact in the first quarter. Second best in the league.
Yeah.
2.08 in second. It's getting worse, but it's still fourth best. Negative 0.72 in the third. On average, getting hit in the backfield. But wait, that's second worst of the week. But wait, in the fourth quarter, it was negative 1.4 for worst in the league in the fourth quarter. So a yard and a half in the backfield on average on run plays.
The O-line, I would say like the third quarter, really the whole second half. The third quarter, like the pass protection, like this is what I was going to talk about, was the third quarter pass protection. The O-line was terrible the whole first half, and you talked about like the run blocking, the whole second half rather, and you talked about the run blocking. I was going to talk about the pass blocking because in the third quarter,
there's more.
In the third quarter, we ran 11 plays for 19 yards, with two different drives that were 3 and out, and one that was like 5 plays and then a punt. We allowed a 50% pressure rate.
But wait, you know the one drive that had a first down and had yards out of those 3, that was the Kennard possession.
Yes,
that was the only play that actually had yardage, with the Derek Kennard reception, where he trucks a guy and fumbles out of bounds. By the grace of God, that ball went out of bounds.
Yes, I don't know how it went out of bounds. And so it's like, I mean, I don't understand what that play call was ridiculous. That
It was working until he
no.
The ball goes flying out of his hand.
No. It was not working. It was not working. It got 5 yards. It got 5 yards.
I think he got up to 8 before he coughed up the ball.
He has clearly never held a football in his life. Who is coaching this man to run with the ball? He's got it way the hell out here. Like Josh Jacobs on the kick return, which also, why are we having a guy return a kick who has never returned a kick before? I'm not gonna lie, he did a good job returning it. Like,
he looked really great until he fumbled the ball.
But then he got up to the 45. He's never returned a kick before.
Well, you know what? He was right though. We desperately needed a spark on special teams.
I mean, yes. I guess that's not as bad. But the fact that he fumbled, I mean, who can be surprised?
that's just
he's never done it before.
The chef's kiss is the fact that he fumbled after having a great return.
And that was the thing. Like, I think we had 3 fumbles and we recovered all of them. Like, we had the ball bounce our way. We had the ball bounce our way a number of times.
Yeah, we actually had good luck with that. We had So Oladapo recovered that fumble. Kennard's managed to be dropped and bumbled,
and punted out of bounds.
2 different bears, so it bouncing out of bounds. And Dobbs fell on Watson's fumble in the end zone.
Yeah.
If he doesn't, then it's a touchback out to the 20. We don't even pin them deep.
And Dobbs was also instrumental in the Kennard one, because he's the only one down there, and he kind of smacks at it to smack it out of bounds. So like he was instrumental in 2 of those not going the other way.
Yeah, so that's just a little side hustle on your
I was going to talk about the offensive line. Yeah, we were talking about the offensive line. In the third quarter, we allowed a 50% pressure rate and a 2.3 second time to pressure. So if that was the whole season, those would both be dead last by a mile. Like, they essentially played like the worst offensive line in the league for an entire quarter, just pass protecting. And add on to that, they couldn't run block at all. They could not open any holes in the entire second half. The big thing in the third quarter was like the blitzes, because like in the first half we shredded the blitz. In the third quarter, it was like just forgot how to pick them up, because I think they blitzed like 5 times and got 4 pressures. And just like we didn't pick up a single blitz in the third quarter, and that was a big reason why just we could not get the ball moving. But yeah, the offensive line in the whole second half, I don't know what the hell happened. And even Matt LaFleur talked about how he was really disappointed with the offensive line play in the second half. And I hope that leads to a change in offensive line coach, because the offensive line has been bad since Adam Stenavich went to OC and Luke Butkus took over at offensive line coach, and he's just been staying and hanging out there. And every year it feels like week 6. It's like, well, you get the report every year around week 6. Adam Stenavich is going back to the offensive line room to help. It's like, well, if we're going to keep doing that, how about we just get a guy that doesn't need help? How about we have a guy that doesn't need the offensive coordinator to hold his hand? I don't know. Just my thoughts.
There's been multiple years we've had this where it hasn't been good enough. And this is, I saw, maybe it was Andy Herman. Somebody posted somewhere about the and I didn't look up the numbers myself to remember them. The Packers standing in the league in like pressure rate given up. It's like first, third, seventh, third, second, first.
Some of that
30th.
Some of that I will say is like a function of how Love plays quarterback and how long he holds the ball.
Love. This is like over a 7 or 8 year span. And then it's all good until this year, and it's terrible.
Yeah. I do think because our time to throw and our time to pressure weren't terrible this year. I think some of it's like the longer developing plays, which like we want to do like as an offense, but like, and so like I think that lends itself to higher pressure rate. But yeah, the offensive line was not good enough this year, and I think we talked about this a number of times, but it's on the offensive line coach, it's on the coaching staff, it's on the front office. You gave Aaron Banks $17 million a year for 4 years. That was a terrible contract. He has not been good at all. You drafted Jordan Morgan in the first round to play guard. He's been a terrible guard. He looked better at tackle, and I'm excited. I'm cautiously optimistic to see what he looks like at tackle as the starting tackle next year, presumably. But Anthony Belton also did not play very well at guard this year. I know the offensive line got better when he came in at guard, but he did not play all of his metrics are not actually very good.
Look at his actual numbers. He's like the worst.
He's like one of the worst guards in the league. And I want to give him some accident forgiveness because he's a rookie who only played tackle and he didn't get any reps at guard in the preseason, which again, coaching staff, maybe we could have gotten the rookie some reps at a position he might have to play in the offseason.
A position that most people thought he would play.
Yeah.
Coming out of college.
And then Luke Butkus drops on us like whatever week 8, week 7, whatever it is. Like, oh yeah, like we're repping Anthony Belton the guard. It's like, well, for they're already less than halfway into the season. You're telling me that was never a consideration during the offseason, and so we never wanted to. Okay, we'll talk about that later. But yeah, the offensive line was terrible. They need a new O-line coach. What they really need, based on what we need a dedicated run game coordinator, like we need water and air to breathe. The run game, and that was because I was talking about this. I was like, we were talking about this before we started recording. It was like when you need to, and we're talking about also the Packers blowing leads and that being like a part of the DNA right now. What you need to hold the lead is to be able to run the ball and play defense. And we could not run the ball and we could not play defense. So,
yeah.
That's the passing game is inherently volatile. It's more volatile than the running game when you can't stay ahead of the sticks with the run game and you're in these like second. All right, we ran it 2nd and 9. Okay, we got an incomplete pass. It's 3rd and 9. How many 3rd and 9s are we going to complete over the course of a game? Like, because even in the first half, we were kind of flying by the seat of our pants a little bit. We got a touchdown on 4th down and a touchdown on 3rd down. Yeah. Like it was a little bit like
we got down to 1st and goal at the 1. And we had to score on a pass on 4th down.
That's the thing. The run game has been terrible. And I also don't want to. I mean, I think Josh Jacobs also has to play better as well. I get that the blocking wasn't good, but I mean, there are plenty of teams with bad run blocking.
I watched is like, ooh, this rest for Jacobs is good.
Yeah,
he's looking.
Yeah. But he also got a little dinged up at one point. You saw him limping on the sideline too. I think he hurt it at some point. But like also, I mean, I just think this, and because we also see there's a lot of teams with substandard offensive lines that can run the ball. Like the Niners offensive line, if you look at it on paper, it's not very good. And they're able to run the ball better than we are. Like they don't have a lot of like great offensive linemen. They can run the ball like better than we can. And they've invested less in the offensive line than we have. So I think we need a dedicated run game coordinator.
Happy to see Aaron Banks go.
Yeah, Aaron Banks is not good. This is not news. We said this all offseason when we signed him. It was like, hey, I hope I'm wrong. I was wrong about Josh Jacobs. I did not like the Josh Jacobs signing when we made it. That ended up being a good signing. But I said when we signed Aaron Banks, I was like, you look at it, he has been a below average pass protector and a average run blocker his entire time with the Niners. You ask any and I know a lot of Niners fans because I've lived in California almost my whole life. You ask any Niner fan, Aaron Banks was a problem. Like not just like, oh, like he's kind of He was an active detriment to their offensive line for years. And that was when he was playing next to Trent Williams. So like, can we really be shocked that he has been bad this year and that you gave him the 7th highest paid guard contract in the league? But anyway, offensive line play terrible. What's the next thing you want to talk about?
Let's say Jordan Morgan, like we mentioned, looks like he could be something.
Yeah, he had a nice day at tackle.
On the week, out of 63 qualifying offensive linemen, Morgan had the 6th best pass blocking grade from PFF at 82.3 and the 8th best overall offense grade amongst linemen at 77.1. And he only gave up one hurry and 49 pass blocking snaps. And over the last 3 games, which covers 101 pass blocking snaps, which have been all at tackle, he has the 12th best pass blocking grade in the league out of 202 offensive linemen with a grade of 83.9. Now, this is not these are not all of his tackle snaps on the year. In the game before this in Chicago, he was bad.
Yeah, well, it's kind of funny.
That was a rough game, but it's nice to see that was maybe his first game.
Yeah,
playing all these tackle snaps.
Yeah, because the Broncos game was right before. And unfortunately, it turns out we were right that the season ended with that Broncos game because you lost 2 of your top 5 players.
And we didn't know that we had lost Tom for the season at the time, but we did. We lost Tom for the season in that game.
Yeah. But I was talking about the offensive line. Yeah, Morgan was good. Rasheed Walker gave up 6 pressures, and Anthony Belton gave up 6 pressures. That's bad.
Those were rough.
That's really bad. And that's why it's like, oh, Anthony Belton.
And that's the other thing. We talked about this before recording. Why didn't we, the offensive line is struggling. We can't get protection. We can't get any movement.
More Jumbo.
What happened to Jumbo? Why did it disappear? Why did you not say, oh, we're struggling. We need more beef up there. Why did you stop using it?
Like Kennard played 2 snaps, and one of those was a screen to him.
Yeah. He played more as an actual tight end than he played as an offensive lineman, as a 6 offensive lineman. We've been joking about how he's been our second number 2 tight end, and actually he went out for a pass.
I think just as much as he did more catches else. Than the rest of the tight end room. I think. I cannot get over that play call. That is just an insane call to give the ball to
You could say Kennard. It was ballsy.
It was. I mean that's like throwing just you know what.
Yep. Let's just see what sticks to the wall.
Just see what happens. I'm interested in seeing Morgan at tackle. I hadn't realized during the game quite how bad Belton played. Like he's been do you know his pressures by week? Like, so whatchamacallit? He had a run there. So 6 pressures this last week, none against Minnesota. So pretty good game, but then 4, 3, 4, 2, and 6. I mean, it's pretty bad. Like when you look at overall, how many pressures he's given up for how much he's played.
Ouch. Yeah. I forget what was his grade of this one. It was not good. It's in the 20s, 30s.
It was
44.2 pass blocking. Yeah, he's had worse. He had a couple of the 20s.
Yeah, I mean, man, it's just one of those things, where. I mean, it's just not. I think overall, he was the 14th worst offensive lineman of any position per PFF this year. So, I don't know. Just something to keep in mind for next year. I mean, hopefully, that's the thing. He's a rookie playing out of position. Could we have maybe gotten him some reps there in the offseason? I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's more that you go back and look at his struggles, but it looks like you see some flashes.
Better. It looks better when you watch it. It looks better, but.
You see some hope for the future, even if he's struggling now.
Yeah. Yep. Anything else you want to talk about for this game? I mean, the only other thing the run defense was pretty good in this one. Shockingly, really good actually. We only gave up a rushing success rate of 29% and an EPA per carry of negative 0.12, which would both be top 5 if they were over the course of a season. So we played a top 5 run defense against what is a top 5 run offense. I will say the with and without Edgerrin Cooper, just for the whole defense, as a whole, with and without Cooper was very stark. Dusty Evely had this, that with Cooper on the field, we allowed 4.8 yards per play and a 30.2% overall success rate. So that's run and pass. And then without him, that 4.8 yards went to 7 yards per play allowed, and that 30% success rate went to a 47.1% success rate allowed. So did not answer, the call there. So that was not good.
Yeah, I was thinking at the time when he went out, it's oh, this is not good.
He was playing really well too. He was having a nice game.
Defense got. It's we lost Cooper as well. We lost.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the game, we're playing without 2 of our top 3 defensive players.
I would say 3 of our top 5.
Oh, right.
If you include Wyatt as well.
Maybe 3 of our top 4.
I mean, I would say Evan Williams and McKinney are better than Wyatt.
Yeah, I had McKinney up there, but yeah, probably this year Williams is better. Yeah, so that's fair. Three of our top five on defense.
Yeah,
and what it turned out to be, even though Jenkins was having a rough year, our top two offensive linemen.
That's unfortunate that Jenkins really probably was one of our best.
Yeah, I was looking at the at least by grade, he was actually better than anybody but Tom.
I will say though, like just watching the games, it felt like Ryan was better at center than Dalton, though. Just like that felt better. I don't know why it felt better. It has truthiness to it.
Yeah, I think it only has truthiness.
The offensive line as a whole just felt like it played better when Ryan was playing center. I don't know. Maybe that had more to do with just not playing Morgan at guard. Maybe that was part of it.
That could be. Ryan's pass blocking grade was for the season?
The thing is, he's a roller coaster. He'll have a great game and then a terrible game.
42.4.
Yeah. It's not great. Not great.
It's actually...
Is there anything else you
want to talk about? It's actually
the
worst amongst all the offensive linemen.
That's actually really surprising. That's not Belton.
It's even worse than Belton.
Really bad. Is there anything else from this game you want to talk about, or should we talk about Matt LaFleur? Because I feel like that's what...
Yeah, I was going to say a little bit about how like the coverage was bad on both sides, and listing like how most of the defensive backs on both teams were in like the bottom fifth for the whole league in the week.
Mm-hmm.
But
you know what?
Except for Bullard. Bullard was good. He was sixth in the league on coverage GPA.
Well, let's finish up talking about this game. Let's do a quick players of the game. Player of the game, who'd you have?
Jordan Love. I see you couldn't get yourself to put anybody there. Your space was blank.
I was frustrated, but I also would say Jordan Love. I mean, 320 yards and 4 touchdowns, no turnovers. Like, he was fantastic. The only other person I would say is like Romeo Dobbs. He was my under the radar. Who's your under the radar?
I thought about putting Dobbs, but he had such a big game I couldn't put him under the radar.
Almost not even under the radar. Yeah. I almost put Dobbs for best player. Let's say I put Dobbs for play. Like, I'd say Love, but if I wasn't saying Love, I'd say Dobbs for player of the game and Cooper for under the radar player of the game.
Okay. Yeah, Cooper was a good one. I thought about that a little bit. For my under the radar, I went Lucas Van Ness.
I didn't really notice him.
He led the team in pass rush grade. He recorded a sack and had 4 total pressures. He also had 2 stops. Yeah, man. So that's why he's under the radar, because you barely noticed him.
Yeah, frustrating game. But let's have should we have the Matt LaFleur conversation? I feel like
we should have a Matt LaFleur conversation. This might not be the Matt LaFleur conversation, because there might be more of them.
Yeah, so, okay, let's start with talking about what we know so far. So, based on reporting from, Adam Schefter and I think Rappaport and the insider people, it sounds like the team is working on an extension for Matt LaFleur. Now, that does not mean he is for sure going to get extended, because I think there's going to be conversations about the number and how much money he gets paid. And there's always a chance that those negotiations go south and they end up trading him and something. So there's nothing's like, 100% done. It's not guaranteed he comes back, but it sounds like the team wants him back and he wants to be back. And so the conversation is very much a hot button issue with Packers fans. A lot of people want him gone. And so I think, we should probably talk about this because I think there's some very interesting arguments both ways. I don't know about you, but for me, I think it's a really tough situation, and I don't know if there's a good option. I'm going to talk about essentially a bunch of stuff and why I lean this way in a second. I think if you ask me today, I'm leaning towards keeping him. If you asked me Saturday night, I was leaning towards moving on from him. I think it's a really tough decision, because I think if you moved on from him, you're not going to get someone as good. And in my opinion, your head coach should always be an offensive play caller, because I think it's way too hard to find those guys. And if your head coach is not the offensive play caller, you got to find a new one every 2 years. And that is just so hard to be consistent that way. And so to me, anyone you hired, I would prefer to be an offensive play caller. And I just don't think there's a better one of those out there. Like, you'd have to just hope that Clint Kubiak from the Seahawks is good at that. Or you'd be like, hey, let's try the Josh McDaniels thing again. Like, it hasn't worked for anyone else, but it might work for us. So no, don't do that. I'm joking. Don't do that. Yeah. But the problem is, I don't know, and we'll talk about this in a second, but like, my initial feeling was like, I don't think you can find anyone better, but I don't know how you get over a loss like this as a team. We will talk about that in a second, because I think I have some good news on that front. But Dad, how are you feeling about Matt LaFleur and whether or not he should continue, and the Packers seemingly wanting to continue with Matt LaFleur.
Yeah, so this particular game and the way we lost it sucked hard. It was 5 straight losses to end the season, which also sucked.
Yes.
But when I was thinking about this, so after a couple of days, like, even though this was like the worst single loss as a game itself since 2014.
Yep.
The way that having the season end in the wild card round didn't bother me as much as our early losses in 2020 and 2021. Those are teams that should have won the Super Bowl. This was never going to be a Super Bowl team by the end of the year.
That's probably true.
So I felt like, we really blew a chance in 2021, especially, but also in 2020 to win the Super Bowl. So those losses bothered me more in the end, to be eliminated in those years, even though the games were not as catastrophic.
It's the way we lost. If we had just lost this game, I'd be like, damn,
Well, this
injury.
It took a couple of days.
Injuries, it happens. Like, you just didn't have enough left in the tank. The fact that you had the game won and you just blew it. And the other thing is the fact that everyone could kind of feel that no one felt safe up 21-3.
I'll get to that too. But I just mean it took a couple of days to get there. It's like, I felt worse about getting eliminated from the playoffs. Let's say eliminated from the playoffs those other years than eliminated from playoffs this year. Now, this game was terrible.
Awful.
But
terrible.
That's so these are some of the negatives on LaFleur besides. So this is just one game, but that's not the only negative.
No, it's not.
And this is the issue. We seem to have a knack for losing games the Packers should win. And as a fan base, like you said, everybody's expecting it because it's happened so often. It seems to be just part of what the team is under LaFleur right now. We are 8-15 against playoff teams over the last 3 years, ever since Love became the starter.
Mm-hmm.
No division title in 4 years. So we haven't even won the division.
And every other team
since Rodgers
mm-hmm.
was MVP 2 years in a row, best player in the league. So is that what LaFleur needs to win the division title?
Okay, well, my counter argument to that is he was not the MVP when LaFleur got there, and that I think that MVP LaFleur deserves a chunk of credit for him being that good.
I'll get to that because I haven't gone back that far yet. But no.
But also, I was just going to say every other team has won the division since the last time we won the division.
Yep. Yeah, I heard somebody say it's starting into the NFC East, where there wasn't a repeat division winner for
10
what
years,
was it, like 15 years or some crazy number?
Until this year.
Yeah. Losing record in his playoffs for his career, 3-6.
I think bye weeks should count as wins, but it's not good. And you got to point out, you need to usually win 4 games in a single playoffs to win the Super Bowl. So if you took all of his playoff wins, it would still not be enough to win a Super Bowl.
Well, it would have been enough. The year had
if you had a bye. Yes, if you had a bye, it would.
Then so that's kind of on the negative side. The things that you might want to move on, even if you take this loss as a regular loss.
And there were playoff, and some of those playoff losses were very winnable, like games you should win. Yes.
Yeah, games you're favored in.
Yeah.
Some of them.
But then there were some where, you lost.
Had the lead and you blew
it. But you had the lead in a game you shouldn't have had the lead, which I think at some point he should also get some credit for yes, he deserves blame partially for blowing the lead against San Francisco in 2023. But San Francisco was a better team than us, and we had the lead. And so I think he should get some credit for having the lead in a game that we were playing a team that was better than us.
That was a good year. And what we did in the playoffs was above what our expectation was. But I wanted to look at, so that's kind of all, but there's some negatives there about even.
No, yes. His playoff record is not good.
This game, there are some.
Yes.
When we face other good teams, we have wilted. We have not done well in the playoffs. And he has not shown the ability in 4 years now to finish near the top of the conference.
Let's say I want to look at LaFleur in the context of this Packers team with Love as the quarterback. So I only want to look at the last
4 years. Well, okay, 3 years.
Okay, I only want to look at the last 3 years. Because I think this is a different team. Well, so in 2023, you have a first-time starting quarterback, and you make the playoffs with the youngest roster in the league with a ton of turnover and a bunch of dead money. I think that year was a total success. In 2024, you lose to Jordan Love is battling injuries all year. You get 2 wins from Malik Willis, who everyone thought stunk. Like, he doesn't stink. And part of that, I think LaFleur some credit. But you make the playoffs and you have a good record. It's just the division's insane. And so you're the 7 seed. And you lose to the Eagles in a game where you don't really show up, but you keep it 1 score. And it turns out, hey, the Eagles, that team, pretty good. And so I would say the last 2 years, to me, are not failures of years. I would say 2023 is a success. 2024, you wish you would have finished the regular season better, and you wish you would have beaten some better teams. But I think you can be like, hey, Love was hurt for a lot of the year. You were kind of coaching around that. You wish it could have been better, obviously, but you lose to the Eagles who won the Super Bowl. To me, that's not a playoff failure to me. That team was better than you. This year is the first where I'm like, this was a playoff failure. You should have won this game. And this is the year where I'm like, and so to me, it's like, I think his resume is fine. My question is just, can you come back from like blowing a lead like this? Because to me, I think in sports, it doesn't matter as much if the fans like don't feel safe with a lead. What becomes a problem is if the players start to not feel safe with a lead, and if the players start to lose confidence, and if the players don't believe in what's happening anymore. And I'll talk about that in a second because I want to let you finish with what you were saying. But it seems like the players are still behind LaFleur, and he has not lost the locker room. And I have some. Should I go into talking about what I was going to talk about? Because I think I go ahead with what you were saying.
Because you have more to say, so maybe I could come back to some of mine. But I did want to talk about this. Overall, when they match up against other good teams, though, and this is just the last 3 years, they are winning only like 30%, 35%.
Well, in 2023, that team, I don't think people expected to be as good as it was. So you weren't expecting to beat other good teams. In 2024, that's fair. They were 1-5 in the division, and that was not good enough. But Love was hurt for a vast majority of the year. And I agree that year was not good enough, but your main losses were to the Lions twice, and one of those was a very close game. And one was like Love fresh off of, it was like second week back from an injury.
They rushed him back to that first Vikings game.
Yeah.
And which they shouldn't have. He was too early.
But I don't want to sound like I'm just making like excuses, because I do think I like sound like that now that I'm like hearing myself talk. But I do think there is some context there. This is the first year where you came in as like with like your guys, and I think this is the first year where I'm like because those other 2 years.
We can talk about that as well.
This is the year I would say that I am disappointed with how the year went. Last year, the year did not end well, actually, also. The year, there kind of was a bit of a collapse at the end there as well, but you lost to the Eagles, who were just a better team. Like, they just were. They won the Super Bowl by 30 points. Like,
there are different things to talk about here in terms of what are bad losses versus you are not elite.
Yes.
That's 2 different things. And so far,
I just want to point out, okay, I was just going to say, a month ago in the second half against Denver, like, we looked like we would, like, heavy, like, top 3 Super Bowl contender. Like, that was not that long ago. That was not that long ago.
This is true. We did look like we were on our way. There was a time during that game
where I was like, we are the best team in the league.
We are the number 1 seed in the NFC.
Come fuck with us. Yeah, like, we are the best team in the league.
If the 3 games stopped right now, we're the number 1 seed.
Yeah.
Because the Rams were losing, the Seahawks were losing, and we were winning.
Yeah. Like, and I was like, yeah, like, we're really good. And like, that was not that long ago.
No.
And then you lose 2 of your best 5 players in the span of like 5 snaps, and like, things don't go as well. Like,
yeah. And so there are other things. So there are things that are kind of neutral. If you think about, like, it seems like the Packers are always losing games they shouldn't.
Yes, that is definitely a thing, like the Browns game, the Panthers game.
But there's some, but I do want to talk about how it's not all bad in that regard. There are actually some games, like, if you look at things that seem to be not going their way, there's some things that it's actually kind of net neutral. Like 1-score games. It's basically a toss-up. It's what you'd expect.
Yeah, 50-50 is about what you'd expect.
He's about, like, over the last 3 years,
And imagine if we had competent special teams. Imagine if we could make kicks.
Last years we were 6-6, 5-5, 4-6-1.
Imagine if we could make kicks. Imagine how much better we'd be.
And then against the spread, we're 27-28 over the last 3 years. Now, this last year we were only 5-9 as the favorite against the spread. So that's maybe when we're the front runner not doing so well.
Well, I was going to say the Browns game was embarrassing. I would actually say, the Panthers loss, like in hindsight, it's not good, but like they also beat the Rams, and then they gave the Rams all they could handle in that playoff game. Like the Panthers, I think the Panthers are just weird. I don't think, like, I just don't know what to think about them. But like, I mean, the Cowboys tie
this year.
Yeah,
2 against the Bears, the Browns, the tie against the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Maybe no games that you'd say like you blew it or you lost to an inferior team last year, 2024.
The Browns.
But 2023, there were a couple.
Yeah, 2024 there were some no-shows, but 2023 there were some like don't lose to the Raiders on Monday Night Football. Like, how about that? But that was also very early in the season. Like,
and the loss we had to the Buccaneers was a bad loss. We looked bad there. We basically helped start resurrecting Baker before he started looking good.
That was a close game, though.
That was like the week after we lost to Tommy Collins. So we almost
didn't Tampa make the playoffs that year.
But it's more a game we kind of just sort of.
It's still a playoff. Around. It's still a playoff team, though. Like,
and then we almost lost to the Panthers, so we pulled that one out.
Yeah, that was like bad. That was like when the Panthers were like actually really bad.
They were really bad, and we almost lost to them.
Yes. No, there's. I agree. There's some bad losses on LaFleur's resume. I would say like my number one knock against LaFleur is like the like he's just terrible at hiring guys. And so I think if we bring LaFleur back, I would like to see. Well, number one, I'd like to see a lot of new like coaching staff, like new O-line coach, probably new OC, new special teams coordinator, probably a new DC, assuming Hafley leaves. So like 3 new coordinators. Like that's great. That's kind of crazy. I would like to see perhaps a new tight end coach, because I don't think. I mean, that's kind of like a little tough because clearly Kraft has developed well, but the rest of the guys are just like super stagnant. But also like he got kind of put in a tough position. So I kind of see it both ways. And I would like to see a dedicated run game coordinator, like I talked about. And I think that the front office should be heavily involved in those hires, because LaFleur has just not been good at hiring like at the coordinator spots. And and we've seen that. I think the front office did a good job with hiring LaFleur. And so why can't they just be involved in, like, I'm not saying that they like hire his staff for him. Like, he's earned the right to like have a like good, like he should still be the final call. But I think that the front office should put together like the list of guys.
I think one thing we're talking about the negotiating. You got to get rid of some of these guys.
No, some of the
part of what's going on here.
I'm team. I would like to have LaFleur back, and I'm going to start talking about the reason why in a second. Because, like I said, I think that I'm mostly looking at him in the context of the Jordan Love Packers, and I think in 2023 we overperformed. In 2024. I would say, you could say underperformed. I think there are some extenuating circumstances. And then I don't think that the playoff loss was bad. I think just that the fact that we were the 7th seed, you could argue that is bad. But at the same time, like we had the 4th best record in the NFC that year, 5th best record in the NFC. And it was just a function of like having essentially a really tough division. But also you didn't play well enough against your division opponents. And that's also a knock against LaFleur. But I would say like 2023 success, 2024, you lose to the Eagles in the playoffs. Like, they were just the best team, and like you actually played them pretty close. And then this past year, I would say was a failure. I think that's fair to say, but also a lot of injuries. But I would say fair to say failure. My main concern with LaFleur is whether or not, because like I said, I don't think you're going to find another head coach who is a play caller who is better than him. And for the people wanting Harbaugh, boy, if you do not like blowing leads, you are not going to like Harbaugh, because that man blows leads like nobody's business. Like, he has the most fourth quarter like blown leads ever, I think, or like the last 25 years. So when you're looking at these other guys, the grass is not always greener, and sometimes it is very, the problems are the same.
Brown, ready to light on fire.
Yes.
The other thing about Harbaugh is we're talking about like there's some assistants that maybe you shouldn't have. That's one reason why he got fired.
Yes, because he wouldn't let go of Munkin. Yeah. But I want to talk about, because my main concern was how, like, can you recover from a loss like this? Because my thought was like, nothing felt the same after McCarthy blew that 2014 lead. Like, it never felt like we ever got back to like a team that good. And part of that was the roster, but I think part of it felt like just like there was a vibe that like things felt off. And so my question was like, why I felt like we were really stuck between a rock and a hard place is like, I don't think you can find anyone better than LaFleur, but I also don't know how you get over a loss like this. And so what I did was I wanted to see if, like, could you get over a loss like this? And so I went back on Pro Football Reference and found every playoff game since 2000 and I looked at every single playoff game since 2000 and looked at games where a team blew a 3-score lead. So 17 points or more. So the 2014 NFC Championship game doesn't qualify because the biggest lead we had was 16. But so there have been 11 playoff games where a team has had a 3-score lead and lost. It's the 2002 Browns losing to the Steelers in the Wildcard, 2002 Giants losing to the Niners in the Wildcard, 2006 Patriots losing to the Colts in the AFC Championship game, 2012 Falcons losing to the Niners in the NFC Championship game, 2013 Chiefs losing to the Colts in the Wildcard, 2016 Falcons losing to the Patriots in the Super Bowl, 28-3, as we all know, 2018 Chiefs losing to the Titans in the Wildcard, 2019 Texans losing to the Chiefs in the divisional, 2021 Chiefs losing to the Bengals in the AFC Championship game, 2022 Chargers losing to the Jaguars in the wild card, and 2023 Lions losing to the Niners in the NFC Championship game. And so
I remember that Texans game. I think that was like Deshaun Watson was like going bonkers in the first half, and they were already up there at a huge lead in the second quarter, and then it just evaporated really quickly as Mahomes just took over.
And I misspoke. The Chiefs one was the 2017 Chiefs to the Titans. It was the 2018 calendar year, but 2017 Chiefs. And so that was when I was saying the year. It was the year of the season start. So just to point out.
The other thing I was looking at this, like, I didn't remember the Browns were good enough in the early 2000s to ever have a 3-score lead on a team in the playoffs.
I can tell you they were 9-8 that year. And they had a 24-7 lead in the third quarter on the Steelers and blew it. So that not a great way to go out for the Browns. But my point is, essentially, I was looking at these to see how coaches bounced back from these like catastrophic blown leads where you had a 3-score lead and you lost a playoff game, because I wanted to see if LaFleur was able to do it. And so of those 11 games, that actually only makes 9 coaches. So I'm just going to go through them in chronological order again. So there's Butch Davis for the Browns. He coached 2 more seasons. He missed the playoffs twice, and he went 8-19 in those 2 seasons, and then he was not the coach anymore. Then there was Jim Fassel, who was the coach of those Giants teams. He coached 1 more season, went 4-12, and then was let go. Then we get to the Patriots, which was Bill Belichick. You might have heard of him. He coached a lot more seasons and won several more Super Bowls. So that worked out fine for them. To be fair, he had already won a Super Bowl or 2, I think at this point. And so he was kind of an established coach. And so a team is not going to lose confidence in a coach that is a multi-time Super Bowl winner, is the counter argument there, which I think is a fair counter argument. Down the list, Mike Smith for the Falcons, the first time, coached 2 more seasons. He went 4-12 and 6-10. I think he is the nightmare worst case scenario, because prior to that, he had gone 11-5, 9-7, 13-3, 10-6, and 13-3 before that game, and then it all fell apart. So I think that's like a scenario where it's like, hey, you had a coach who was doing a good job, was winning a lot of games, they lost that game, and then it cratered, and like the team was never the same. Then you have Andy Reid 3 times. This was the most shocking thing. He has blown not 1, not 2, but 3 different 3-score leads in the playoffs. That's really bad. And the first one of these was before they had ever won a Super Bowl, before he had ever won a Super Bowl at all. And they still stuck with him. And it has paid dividends for them, because that game against the Titans, when they blew that lead, I think that was the 2017 season, like I said. And what ended up happening there was that they had essentially he did it twice. So first it was the game in the 2013 season where they had a 38-10 lead on the Colts. And Andy Reid was the coach, and they blew a 28-point lead to the Colts. I think it was the Andrew Luck Colts. So that was the first time he did it. And then he did it again to the Titans in the 2017 season. They were up 21-3 and ended up losing to the Titans and Marcus Mariota. And so he blew 2 of these leads before he won a Super Bowl. and they still stuck with him. And so that's like, I think, an argument for sticking with the guy, and they can eventually figure it out, and the team doesn't quit on them if, the team is confident they're a good coach. Beyond that, Dan Quinn, obviously the 28-3, he went on to coach 4 more years. They went 10-6 the next year, made the playoffs, and won a playoff game. So like, that's solid. Then he went 7-9, 7-9, started 0-5 that 4th year, and then was fired mid-year. And he has now had some success as a head coach of a new team with the Commanders, where they made the NFC Championship game last year with Jaden Daniels as a rookie. So I would say, that's solid. Bill O'Brien, that did not go as well for him. He coached 1 more year, started 0-4, and was fired. Brandon Staley did not go well for him. Coached 1 more season, went 5-9, and was fired. And then the last one, maybe familiar to you, Dan Campbell. People don't talk about it. They had a 17-point lead at halftime to go to the Super Bowl, to make the Super Bowl. And they blew that. And then the next season, they went 15-2, and they got the 1 seed. They didn't win a playoff game. But so overall, just to sum that up, 3 coaches of the 9 were fired after or during the next season. 2 coaches were fired after or during the second season, post like blowing that game. 1 coach had a decent stretch of games. That was Dan Quinn with their team. And 3 coaches continued on, and that's Campbell, Belichick, and Reed, to have a very high level of success. And so, I would say, to me, that's enough evidence to say that you can overcome a loss like this.
Yeah, well, that's encouraging, because I didn't know how many teams have recovered from, kind of blowing it, and whether they feel like we shouldn't listen to you anymore.
Yeah. And so if the team so that kind of seems like, also, if you were already a good coach, like, you can bounce back from it, like Reed, Belichick, and Campbell. Now Mike Smith is the one where it's like, hey, he had done well, and then it kind of, it really fell apart after that. The other thing that I think is a point in Matt LaFleur's favor is that he is getting a ton of support from the big dogs in the locker room right now. Whether it's, Micah Parsons saying that Matt LaFleur, he went out of his way to say, I don't want us to like look back and be like, we let go of a good coach, like, for no reason. Like, he talked about how LaFleur was a big reason why he wanted to come to Green Bay in the first place. Just like ringing endorsement. Like, and he even said, at some point the players have to like have accountability. Like the players got to like look in the mirror. I don't know if he said look in the mirror exactly, but essentially the players have to take some accountability too for blowing that lead. It's not all on the coaches. And so like, that's a ringing endorsement from him. Jordan Love said he definitely thinks Matt LaFleur should be the head coach. Tucker Kraft said he doesn't think there's another coach who could come in and do as well. Jaden Reed said he thinks LaFleur belongs here and is a great coach. And so like, you're getting a lot of endorsements, not just from like players in the locker room, but from the leaders of the team. And so I think that's definitely a vote of like a reason to stick with LaFleur going forward. And now I think that the thing is, obviously, like we talked about, changes on the coaching staff needed. The thing is, how hot is the seat? And I think that is a question that needs to be answered, because it can't just be like, hey, so like, what is success next year? What is failure? If X happens, like what would it take for them to move on after next year? If they go to the playoffs and like win a playoff game in the wild card and get knocked out in the divisional, is that success? Do they stick with him, or is that failure? And so I think that that's something where like, I don't know the answer to that, but I think that's like a difficult part of this situation, but it kind of also is what it is. It comes with the territory.
My guess is they think that they're in the Super Bowl window right now, this year, next year, the year after. And if they go 1 out in the playoffs, they'll be considered not good enough if everybody's if like the stars are available.
Yeah.
I did want to talk a little bit about...
But I just can add one more thing. When you're talking about the Super Bowl window being the next 3 years, the other point to keeping LaFleur is, do you really want to reset everything with a new coach? And like, when you think you're in that window right now, and like you've got your contracts lined up for right now, and you want to blow everything up and fire everyone and implement a new system, and everyone always talks about, sometimes usually takes around a year or 2 to like really get locked in on that system. Like, do you really want to do that right now? And like, I don't want to say that's not the main argument, because I think that's an argument for complacency generally, but I think it is a point that's is valid. Like,
you're afraid of change.
Yes, but I think that's like not my main argument. That's like an auxiliary argument.
It depends on what your decision is. If your decision is this is not the guy, then you move on. Don't wait.
Yes. But my point is, I think
right. But
he's done enough.
This
good.
is what their decision is, and I'm not saying one way or another which of those is right. But if you decide this is as far as he's ever going to take us, we're not going to get farther, then you move on.
Yeah, but my other thing was like, I want to talk about Love for just a second, because Love has gotten better every year. Like, this was his best year so far. And I think that LaFleur deserves some credit for that. And I don't think you would want to just be like, hey, we're just, here's a new offensive system. Like, we know you've gotten better every year in this one, but we're just going to change it all up. And also, like, Love was fantastic in this playoff game. He was so good. 320 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks. And a lot of the criticism for LaFleur that I've heard is like, you can't lose a game when your quarterback plays that well. And I agree. And I think that's a valid criticism. But I don't think those people, I think we need to give some credit to LaFleur for Love playing that well, like, as well. I don't, like, I'm not saying a majority of the credit. I'm not even saying half the credit. But I think LaFleur deserves some credit for Love having such a good game throwing the football. Like, there were some really nicely drawn up plays. We talked about the Romeo Doubs touchdown on 4th down. Just gets him wide open, like in the flat. Like, that's a well drawn up play.
Here's one thing I wonder about LaFleur. I'm not going to say I'm coming down on one side or another, but this is something to consider. Is LaFleur really good at preparing for a game, but not good at running a game? I'm not saying I'm on, but is that something to wonder about?
And well, the timeout usage we haven't talked about. The timeout usage in this game was not good. It was really bad.
That's and I didn't even get that on my recurring problem list. Yeah. That how bad he is at managing timeouts and managing time or challenges. It's like,
I don't really,
but that has less an effect on the game than the timeout usage.
I think that you know what I think about the challenges though. That's, I think, just another example, because usually it's people upstairs telling you to challenge something or not. And I think that's just another evidence of he's not very good at hiring people.
Could be. I feel like he gets emotional. It's like, oh, I'm going to throw this thing now.
Yeah, that happens. That definitely happens. He gets the emotional challenges sometimes.
Yeah. But I wanted to talk, so in terms of like evaluating the Packers as a team under LaFleur, not offensive as the whole thing, they have a lot of good metrics. But what does it mean if they fall? Does it mean anything if they fall short of them? So let's look through some of the numbers. 2025, number 6 by DVOA. But you say they fell short. They're like top 14, losing in the first round of the playoffs instead of 6.
This year was a failure. This year was a failure.
They were 4th by DVOA. 4th by DVOA. Mm-hmm. And they lost the first round of the playoffs.
To the best team in the league.
2023, they were 6th. They reached it. They were top 8 in the playoffs because they were winning a game. 2022, they were 11th. They missed the playoffs, fell short. 2021, 2nd, fell short. Top 8 in the playoffs.
Yeah, that was a failure. Losing to the Niners was a failure.
2020, they were 1st. They fell short. Top 4 in the playoffs, losing in the semis.
Made the NFC.
2019, they were 8th. They exceeded it by getting to the conference finals, being top 4.
It almost felt like we got knocked back down.
What?
I was going to say, almost felt like we got knocked back down by losing that badly.
But yeah, but they don't, in the playoffs, they don't seem to live up to what the metrics say they are.
But when you look at the last,
I'm not saying it does. Do you think it means anything?
When you look at the last 3 years, this year they lost to a team that like we should have won. Last year, the Eagles boat raced, like completely demolished everyone.
The Rams put up a fight.
Yeah, but so did we. We had a one-score game in the second half.
I'm not saying we didn't. I'm saying we weren't the only one.
We played them as close as anyone did.
Yes.
Like the Rams. Yes. The Rams probably a little closer. Sure, I'll give you the Rams closer.
But I would say, I only meant it as we weren't the only one.
But yeah, the Chiefs but my point is, I wouldn't say that was like underachieving to play the Super Bowl champs to a 1-score game.
You could say that it was just we got a bad matchup.
But and I think there's some criticism for getting set up with that bad matchup. But in terms of looking at that playoff game, I would say like, hey, you're a number one.
Okay,
a terrible fumble call to open that game.
Yes, I know. But let me rephrase that then. Let's not talk about the playoffs. They were number 6 by DVOA, but they finished essentially 14th in playoff seeding.
That's a function in some ways of the division that they're in, but sure. Yes. The real reason is because we went 1-5 in the division, which is not good enough.
Yes.
Yeah. I agree. But like I would say, when you look at the playoffs, like you should the Eagles were supposed to win that game. They were much better than us.
And we did get hosed on the start of the game.
And we missed a field goal.
And we missed field goal.
We
had all kinds of reasons why we should have had the ball to 40 or 45 instead of a turnover.
It was a penalty. The guy got fined literally the next week.
The league agreed it was obviously a penalty. It was obvious enough to fine the player, and yet it wasn't called during the game.
Yes. Yeah. Thanks for that, though. Really.
Yeah. It
really
made us feel.
really made me feel a lot better. All right. Is there anything else you want to say?
I feel heard.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to say about this game? Because I think we are getting pretty long. We're at like an hour 20.
Oh, you already talked about so I think the big thing, if they keep LaFleur, they need a bunch of new coaches.
Yeah, and I'm of the opinion, if he says, no, I want to stick with my guys, then you have to move on. Because the coordinators and the assistant coaches they have, it's not tenable. It does not work. These guys are not good.
Yeah. So then what I don't know is, like you talk about, there are coaches out there that I don't know anything about. There's nobody that I've heard, nobody's got the buzz that they're the obvious top candidate this year.
Yeah.
Of the coordinators who are like offensive coordinators who are out there.
Kubiak. It's a lot of defensive guys in this cycle. It's Hafley. It's Chris Shula, the defensive coordinator of the Rams. Mm-hmm. It's Brian Flores, defensive coordinator of the Vikings. It's who else is a hot name right now? But yeah, it's guys like that.
Yeah. The one thing I think the Packers have to do, they have to decide they can't drag their feet.
No. But like I said,
then the good candidates will be gone.
I think my main takeaway is I don't think you're finding a guy who can call plays as good as LaFleur. And I think your head coach should call plays on offense, because you don't want to ride the roller coaster the Eagles are riding, where every other year their offensive coordinator stinks and their offense just falls apart no matter how talented it is. You don't want to ride
a couple Super Bowls out of that. That sounds pretty good.
It's fair, but you don't want to ride the wave that the Chargers are, where they just fired Greg Roman and now they got to find a new OC, or the wave that the Ravens have had to ride with Lamar, where they're trying to find a new offensive coordinator all the time, or Tampa. Tampa's last two, they had Canales, really good offense, gets hired as a head coach. Then they get Liam Cohen, really good offense, gets hired as a head coach, like back-to-back years. And so 3 straight years they have a new OC, and then it doesn't go as well this year. That's not a ride I want to ride. And so I think that ultimately, I don't think you're going to find a guy better than LaFleur. Anyone you find is I hope they're better than LaFleur. And so the reason to me to move off of Matt LaFleur would be because you don't think that the team can overcome a loss like this without a change up, without switching things up. And I think looking at, the list of, coaches who have blown massive leads in the playoffs, there is, 3 of the 9 of them went on to have great success as head coaches after blowing those leads, like getting the 1 seed, winning Super Bowls, et cetera, et cetera. And so to me, it's that's enough evidence that you can overcome something like this. And so ultimately where I stand is I think we should stick with LaFleur as long as he is willing to make changes to the staff.
Yeah, I hope you're right. And he's one of the ones that bucked that trend, because I think it's most likely that he's going to stay. That's just I have no inside information. That's my guess.
Yeah,
I'm only trying to look at both sides. There are arguments for keeping him. There are arguments for getting rid of him. You could, depending on your decision or your opinion, may depend on which of those things you think are more important or more likely to be the case.
Yeah,
but I will not be surprised if they keep it.
Yeah, and I understand arguments for both sides. Obviously, this was a very disappointing loss and a very unacceptable loss, and the way that we lost was really disheartening, and the fact that we could kind of feel it coming also was really disheartening.
It counts triple maybe. So it feels like it wasn't just a 5-game losing streak. It was 6 or 7.
Yeah, not good
to end the year.
But anyway, any final thoughts, or should we wrap this up? We are almost at an hour and a half. So we got a lot to talk about. But anyway, this has been the Father Son Packers podcast. Thank you so much for listening. I didn't even do the pitch at the beginning because I was so annoyed. But if you like what you heard, subscribe with us, Apple, Spotify. Follow us on Blue Sky at Father Son Packer. Thank you again for listening. We will still be here throughout the whole of the off season. So next week, we're going to do a season postmortem. And then the week after that, we're going to start talking about draft stuff and coaching stuff and et cetera, things like that.
Maybe we'll know actually what the coaching decision is.
I would hope so. God. If we don't know in 2 weeks,
I think we're going to know in a week.
Stunned. I think we're going to know by the end of this week. Yeah.
Yes. That's meaning we'll know by the time we record next.
Yes.
Because I think they have to decide if they want to get a good coach. If they're not going to keep LaFleur, they need to get a new coach this week, or they're going to get leftovers
sniped. Yeah. But anyway, we will be here talking about all of that. So don't leave. Don't turn that dial.
Touch that dial.
Don't touch that dial.
We'll be doing bad time. Same bad channel.
We will be doing one episode a week though for the whole off season. So keep it tuned here. But thank you again for listening. Leave a review. Tell a friend. Tell a stranger. Etc. Etc. And until next time, go Pack Go.
Go Pack Go.